Republican-led state houses across the country are targeting gender-affirming care for transgender kids. You might have seen this viral video of Missouri State Senator Mike Moon pushing a trans care ban while defending child marriage.
I've heard you talk about parents' rights to raise their kids how they want. In fact, I just double-checked. You voted no on making it illegal for kids to be married to adults at the age of 12 if their parents consented to it. You said actually that should be the law because it's the parents' right and the kid's right to decide what's best for them to be raped by an adult. Okay?
Do you know any kids who have been married at age 12?
That was the law. You voted not to change it.
Do you know any kids who have been married at age 12?
I don't need to.
I do. And guess what? They're still married.
Gentlemen, my question for you is...
My head is in my hand because I'm thinking about any of my children being married at 12. Moon has since clarified that he does not think kids should marry adults, but he does think that kids should be allowed to marry each other. 12, that is when you're in the 7th grade. Montana is also pursuing a ban on trans health care for minors. Here's what trans state representative Zoe Zephyr said in yesterday's session.
If you disallow the use of the medical care that is accepted by every major medical association, if you disallow that care and don't allow people to have access to that, the only therapy left is either A, meaningless, or B, conversion therapy, which is torture. If you vote yes on this bill and yes on these amendments, I hope the next time there's an invocation, when you bow your heads in prayer, you see the blood on your hands.
With us tonight, Jason Rosenbaum, a political reporter for St. Louis Public Radio, and Shaylee Rager, a State House reporter for Montana Public Radio. Jason, let's start with Missouri. What is going on in the State House and the priorities of policies? Is there nothing more pressing, nothing more urgent to focus on for these lawmakers but targeting transgender youth?
Well, these bans on gender-affirming care for minors has become a staple of Republican legislatures throughout the country, and Missouri is no exception. What's notable about Missouri is that Democrats actually have a lot of power to push back in somewhat meaningful ways against these types of things. Because Missouri has a strong filibuster, they were actually able to change the bill to exempt transgender minors who are already going through hormone therapy or have puberty blockers. And also, the bill would expire after 4 years. But what the House actually took those things away, and now there's going to be a showdown about how restrictive that's going to be. So this is part of Republican legislatures all over the country. Republicans see this as a priority because they say a lot of their constituents want it. But I also think that a lot of their constituents want it because they're seeing conservative media outlets trumpet this as a priority, and their voters are responding in kind.
Shaylee, what about Montana? I cannot imagine there is a huge transgender population. Why the laser beam focus?
Yeah, I think what Jason just said is accurate, that there's a national focus on these issues, and Republicans are lock in step with the national party on targeting the transgender community in this legislation. You know, we do have a nearly $3 billion surplus this session. We are seeing the most bills introduced in Montana since 1973. So there are a ton of issues that Montana legislators are focused on, but this has also been a huge issue. Not only are we seeing a proposal to ban gender-affirming care for transgender minors, but also a bill to ban drag shows and minors' attendance at drag shows. We're also seeing a bill to define sex in state law. So it's not just one policy, it's a wide variety of specific areas that these lawmakers are targeting.
I can't imagine there are a ton of drag shows even taking place in the state of Montana. Jason, new topic. The Missouri House just passed a bill allowing guns on public transportation and in church. What can you tell us about that?
This has been a priority of a lot of Republicans for years. Missouri is a state that has been enamored with getting rid of gun restrictions, I would argue, for decades. There's an anecdote I read in Thomas Eagleton's biography about how he pushed for some pretty substantial gun control when he was first running for the Senate. He almost lost and then never supported gun control again. And that was a Democratic senator who was George McGovern's running mate. So I think this is kind of part and parcel with that, of this antipathy for gun restrictions that we've seen for decades. But we've seen a lot of pushback against this particular bill, especially because we had this horrific incident in the Kansas City area where a 16-year-old was shot, a 16-year-old African-American was shot by a white man for ringing the wrong doorbell. And some Democrats thought that this type of bill on the heels of that was wholly inappropriate. As I said, the Missouri Senate has a strong filibuster. I expect Democrats to filibuster this bill, and this could be an instance where red state Democrats are able to make a meaningful impact.
Shaylee, Montana, now the first state to pass a TikTok ban. Is that even possible to implement? When I read about it, I was like conjuring up scenes from Footloose, like teens hovered around one phone looking at this app. Like, how do they monitor this?
Yeah, trades experts and tech experts are telling us that this is not really workable in a practical sense. Essentially, the mechanics of the bill would have the state fine by tens of thousands of dollars app providers like Google or Apple if they allow Montanans to download TikTok. Again, experts are telling us that that would be pretty unworkable. Lawmakers say that they really care about users' privacy and they want to protect users' privacy. We have a constitutional right to privacy in Montana that is somewhat unique, and lawmakers are really invoking that right in talking about this ban. And it's on our governor's desk. We'll see if he signs it.
All right. Unfortunately, we are out of time. I wanted to talk book bans. I wanted to talk child labor laws, but we will have to continue this conversation on another night.